Let's analyze the figures with David Cohen. David is head of Asian forecasting at Action Economics. David, thanks for joining us. First, what did you make of this? What does it tell us about the state of manufacturing there?
Well, it's an encouraging indication that the Chinese manufacturing seems to be getting back on track after a soft patch a few months ago when both the official PMI number and the one by HSBC both were testing the neutral 50 level for the first time in a year. And this is a welcome sign that China is back on stride, and there's still considerable momentum in their economy, even if they are subject to the same uncertainties surrounding global export demand that's been worrying the other leading Asian exporters in recent months.
Now, do you think that this is really coming from within, indigenous, or consumption, domestic consumption, or does it tell us that perhaps the rest of the region, or indeed the world, may not be in quite the doldrums that people have thought it was in?
It's probably a combination of the two. The domestic Chinese demand sustains considerable momentum. Both the retail sales and investment spending are growing at robust rates, comfortably in the double-digit range, although maybe the investment has moderated a little bit from a year ago with the injection of fiscal stimulus. But as far as the export demand, I mean, of course, China is not immune to swings in global demand. They are now the largest exporter in the world, and they're subject to the same uncertainties that are clouding the outlook for other leading Asian exporters such as Japan and Korea and Taiwan. So far, I think the picture is more of a it's clearly a deceleration in growth in exports after the strong rebound through the middle of this year from the lows a year ago. But it still looks more like a leveling off rather than a double dip, and everybody is still clearly nervous about what happens to demand from the United States, where there is still a lot of clouds over the outlook.
Talk to me a little bit about the currency and where we are with that. Tim Geithner coming out overnight saying he doesn't expect a trade war with China. It wouldn't help either side, would it?
No, I mean, I think the level heads on both sides recognize that neither country would benefit from a trade war. At the same time, they are playing this bargaining game right now. The United States would want China to allow a little faster rate of appreciation for the yuan, and the Chinese are sensitive to potential drag on their own exporters. So there's some give and take there. I suspect they'll be able to reach a compromise allowing for some moderate pace of appreciation in the yuan, not that unlike what we saw for the 3 years through 2008.
So what are you talking about? Perhaps a revaluation 8 to 10%, maybe less per annum?
Yeah, maybe 8%, something in that range, annual rate of appreciation. Whether that will be enough to satisfy the U.S. Congress, we'll have to see. I mean, remember, some of the posturing going on now from the U.S. Congress is ahead of the congressional elections in November, and the vote won't be taken up in the Senate till after the election, so they might be able to take a more level head as regards the Chinese yuan. I mean, remember, there are a lot of forces on both sides in the United States regarding the yuan. Many U.S. multinationals are very sensitive about a trade war that would block their access to the fastest growing market in the world.
Okay, so with the appreciating yuan out there, do you think the U.S. are going about it the right way? Don't you think they should have taken more concerted action with other countries to try and have reform of the Chinese currency policy here? And the language itself, they keep on asking for revaluation. Surely they should just be calling for straight out and out flexibility.
Oh, it's certainly an issue of semantics, and we'll certainly see more of that when the G20 nations convene in November in Seoul for one of their conferences on on the global outlook, and certainly the currency issue is going to be one of the topics of conversation. I mean, it's not just the dollar and the yuan that have been seeing fluctuations in recent months. I mean, certainly the Japanese yen has been firming and obliging the Japanese government to intervene for the first time in 6 years. And clearly the Brazilians are getting concerned about the appreciation. So this is clearly a topic for conversation right now. But I think at the end of the day, the global recovery can remain on track, and the likely accompanying continued appreciation of some of the Asian currencies would be tolerable by the region. Their economies should be able to remain healthy as long as the global economy doesn't slip into a double dip, and in which case, together with China likely to allow gradual appreciation, I think the other Asian regional currencies outside of Japan would be willing to tolerate a little more appreciation of their currencies versus the dollar.
Thanks very much, David. David Cohen there. He's from Action on Economics, joining us there from Singapore.